about the Heart of Gold Film Festival and what's some of its history, and how does it differ from other film festivals?
Well, the Heart of Gold Film Festival has been going 4 years now. This is its 4th year of operation, and the way that it differs from other film festivals is that what we concentrate on films that have a positive view of the world and a positive view of humanity. Which is not to say everything is just glossy and wonderful the whole time, because often positive things come out of a little bit of dark sides of our lives and a lot of struggle and things that people have. But from that, I think comes people are able to be very positive about themselves and have much more positive endings. So that's one of the reasons that we're different from other film festivals. The other thing about the films, I should say, is that that's not the only criteria. The other criteria is they've got to be great films, and I think that we picked exceptional films with great creativity and also great technical ability too.
So how long have you been involved with this particular festival?
This is the first time for me. It's the 4th year, but the first one for me. So I'm really looking forward to it. So far the process has been not traumatic, but there's been a lot to do over a very short time, but I've really enjoyed it, and we've managed to get, I think, putting together quite a spectacular program, not only for Australian films, but from films all over the world.
Fantastic. And are there any particular highlights of this year's festival that you think are worth mentioning right now?
It's a very difficult question to ask the director that, because they're all highlights to me. They're all in the program because they're remarkable. I think there's one film, which is Glen Owen Dodds, which is a Queensland film. It'll be its premiere here at the festival, but it has just won a really prestigious award at the Clermont-Ferrand Festival, which is the world's largest film festival. So the filmmakers are really excited about it. We're really excited, and I think that will be really one of the highlights of the festival. There's another one, Chicken of God, by Frank Woodley, famous comedian in Australia, and he's got a film that I think will be another remarkable one. And there's some fabulous overseas films. A film called The Pig, which is, I think, great, and I like this. There's too many to mention, but there's some very good films.
So what kind of films can we actually expect to see, and who are they from? I read there was up to 22 countries participating, so there's obviously different culture videos, or is it all?
Yeah, we've had films from countries from all over the world. There's 22 countries participating in the festival, which is a pretty good cross-section, and they're from all the continents too. There's from North and South America, from Europe, from the Asia and Pacific region as well, and also a fairly good contingent from Australia.
There's also a few of these with local connections, speaking about before.
There are. There's very local connections. Besides just Queensland films, of which Glen Owen Dodds is one that I've mentioned, there's a number of films that relate to Gympie as well, which one of them is the Gympie Pyramid story, which is quite fascinating. The Gympie Pyramid actually exists. There is a structure, or the remnants of a structure, and there's a lot of myth and legend around it, and everybody's got a particular point of view, and some attribute mystical powers to it, and there's a lot of questions: when was it built, and how did it get there, and how long has it been there? And this is a documentary that looks at that, and it's in the bush. You can actually see that there is a structure there, and talks to a number of people, so that's quite an interesting one. Another local film from this area is a documentary called Eugene the Storyteller, and it's of a local Aboriginal elder, and he takes people through the bush and explains bush tucker and also a lot of herbal medicine, and that's a delightful film as well. There's one more local connection, which is a film called Somewhere Near Tapachula, which is in Mexico, and there's a couple from the Gympie area that have gone to Mexico to an orphanage, to work in an orphanage for 12 months. The orphanage closed very soon after they got there, and they were in a real dilemma as to what to actually do with all these kids who have come from quite dreadful backgrounds and have really quite grim history. And so they just started their own orphanage there, and it's a really heartwarming story. And the interesting thing is Tapachula's on the sea, and there's great surf, and there's no surfers there, there's no surfing culture at all. And what they've done is they've managed to get really high-profile professional surfers from all around the world to come there, and they give the kids lessons, and they're really proficient, and it's had a very therapeutic effect on the kids. And it's a great, really terrific story with the people from this local area of Gympie, and we're really pleased to be showing it as our final film for the festival.
Fantastic. And in told it's not just films being shown, there's also workshops happening.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of things besides the actual films. There are workshops and forums. One of the main workshops is a workshop on screenwriting, in fact, and we've got Rob George, who's a really eminent film writer, who's done a lot of film work, and also particularly in children's films, and also on television, particularly a lot of work with the ABC. So he'll be giving that workshop, and then there are a range of forums, because we've got 20 filmmakers from Australia and around the world will be here during the festival, and they'll be not only presenting some of their films as well, in a filmmaker presents sessions that we've got here, which they talk about them and answer questions about their films. But we'll also have various panels and look at what the film industry is actually doing in both in Australia and also in Europe and the United States. So there's a whole range of activity around that.
Fantastic. Well, from the sounds of things, it promises to be a really fantastic event. We wish you all the luck with it. And just, between you and me, what's your favourite film?
I genuinely cannot answer it. I can probably go through. If you've given me notice, I might have to work one out, but it's very, very difficult. There are, I genuinely do, and that's the other thing. And I know directors often say this, that it's very hard to answer that, but it actually is, because you really get attached to the program and to the film, because these are the ones that you've selected out to be great and really good, and so you generally do like them. So it's very hard to, like, which of your kids do you love best, sort of thing. You might be able to appreciate the difficulty of that. Can I just say something else about the program?
Absolutely.
While we're there? There are a whole range of other things besides the workshops in the program. We've got some special programs. We have a really strong family program, which are G-rated films, and there's some delightful cartoons, particularly European cartoons, I've got to say. So there's 2 programs of those. They're on Saturday and Sunday morning. And we have a feature, which is The Fox and the Child, which is just the relationship between a fox and a child, beautifully photographed. And it's a feature film, and I think people will really enjoy it. And in addition to that, we've got a special program of Adam Elliott's work. Adam Elliott, as people probably know, is a filmmaker, an Oscar-winning filmmaker from Australia. His film Harvey Crumpet won the Oscar several years ago. But he's also done a lot of terrific films before that, called Uncle, Cousin and Brother, a bit of a family theme there. And we'll be doing a retrospective of his work, which people that are interested in that, I think, will just find really fascinating. And there's another program called The Heart of the Journey, which fits very well with our theme, the Heart of Gold Film Festival, which is not really cinema, but it's not theatre either. It sort of sits somewhere in between. It's a documentary slide show with film, with music and interviews, and it's the story of an Aboriginal woman from Broome who goes back to Japan to find her father. She thought she had an Aboriginal father, but found out later in life that he was, in fact, Japanese, and this is her quest as she goes back to Japan to find him, and it has a very wonderful ending as well. So we've got a range of other programs as well.
Fantastic. Malcolm, thank you very much for your time.
It's a pleasure, thank you.